The night was alive with whispers of magic as the silver moon stretched across the vast forest. Trees swayed gently as if moved by an unseen rhythm, and the air shimmered with starlight. In the hidden glade, where no mortal feet had ever stepped, the elves gathered, their cloaks catching the glow of the fireflies. It was the festival of the first bloom, when every century the forest awakened to celebrate love, unity, and destiny. Among the gathering was Eryndor, a young elf maiden with hair as dark as midnight and eyes that mirrored the sky's endless blue. She stood at the edge of the circle, heart racing, for tonight was her first dance among the ancients. She didn't yet know that destiny itself waited for her within the rhythm of the music. The drums began softly, like a heartbeat echoing through the earth, then grew into a rhythm that carried the voices of ages. Elves moved gracefully, their steps flowing like streams, weaving circles of light as sparks of magic trailed from their fingertips. Eryndor hesitated at first, her hands trembling as she looked at the gathering. Then she saw him. A tall figure stepped into the glade, Calin, son of the Elder, known for his unmatched grace and piercing emerald eyes. His presence drew every gaze, yet it was Eryndor he looked toward, as though the forest itself had guided his eyes to her. For a moment, the world fell silent. The fire, the music, the whispers of the wind, everything bent around that first meeting of eyes.
Calin crossed the circle with steps that carried both elegance and certainty. Eryndor felt her breath vanish as he extended his hand toward her. "Dance with me." His voice was soft yet commanding, carrying a melody that seemed born of the stars themselves. Eryndor hesitated, her heart warring with fear and wonder, but when her hand touched his, a current surged between them. The music deepened, flutes and harps weaving harmonies around them, and the other dancers slowed, giving space to the new pair. The circle of elves parted slightly, watching as Calin led her into the center. Their steps began clumsy, Eryndor faltering in her uncertainty, but Calin's steady presence drew her closer, guiding her until their movements flowed like one.
As they danced, Eryndor felt something stir deep within her, not just joy, but recognition, as though she had always known him. The music swelled, strings echoing across the glade, and Calin twirled her, his emerald eyes never leaving hers. "Why do I feel as if we've met before?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Calin's lips curved into a faint smile. "Because love remembers what the mind forgets." His words sank into her soul, and for the first time she believed that perhaps their meeting was not chance, but fate. Around them, magic shimmered brighter, the fireflies circling faster, as though the forest itself was blessing their union.
The dance became more than a celebration. It became a story written in movement. Every step spoke of longing. Every glance carried promises unspoken. The elves who watched whispered among themselves, sensing the rare spark that few ever witnessed, the first breath of soul bonding, the union of hearts chosen by destiny. Eryndor felt the world blur into light and music, until all she could see was Calin. His hand pressed firmly against hers, guiding her through the rhythm, and in that closeness, she felt safe, even as her heart raced with wild uncertainty. She wondered if she was dreaming, but the warmth of his hand told her otherwise.
The night deepened, and as the final song began, the air grew still. Eryndor realized she didn't want the dance to end. Calin leaned close,
his voice a whisper against the music. "Do you trust me?" he asked. She nodded before her thoughts could resist. He drew her into a spin that lifted her, their steps soaring as if weightless, as though the earth itself had released them for the moment. Gasps rose from the onlookers, for the dance had transformed into flight, their figures surrounded by glowing streams of light that pulsed like the heartbeat of the forest. Elira laughed, the sound carrying pure wonder, and Kaelin smiled, as though hearing it was the gift he had long awaited.
When the music finally faded, silence lingered, heavy with awe. The other elves bowed their heads slightly, not in ritual, but in reverence to what they had witnessed, a bond forming before their eyes. Elira stood breathless, Kaelin's hand still in hers, and felt a warmth she could not name. "It's not just the dance," Kaelin whispered. "It's you. You are the melody I've been searching for." His confession set her heart alight, yet fear gnawed at her. Could love born in a single night be real? Could destiny truly weave such bonds in silence? Her voice faltered, but her eyes betrayed the truth. She didn't want to let go.
As dawn neared, the festival ended. The elves faded back into the forest, their cloaks glimmering like starlight, until only Elira and Kaelin remained. The firelight dimmed, leaving the silver glow of the moon. "This isn't the end," Kaelin said, his voice steady, though his eyes held an urgency she couldn't ignore. "The dance has only begun." He leaned closer, his forehead brushing hers, and for a moment, Elira closed her eyes, surrendering to the warmth of his closeness. The world seemed to hold its breath, as though the very forest longed for their answer.
But with love came shadows. In the silence of the trees, unseen eyes watched them. Whispers spread through the hidden folk. Not all welcomed the bond of Kaelin and Elira. Some believed destiny's ties were dangerous, that such love could bring imbalance to their realm. As Kaelin escorted her back to her dwelling, Elira felt the weight of invisible gazes, and unease stirred in her chest. Yet when Kaelin's hand brushed hers again, courage returned. She knew that love was never without risk, but the thought of a life without him frightened her more.
Days turned into nights, and still the memory of their first dance burned within her. Elira found herself returning to the glade, where echoes of the music still lingered in the stones. One evening, Kaelin joined her there, carrying a small pendant carved from the wood of the sacred tree. He placed it gently into her hand. "This binds my promise," he said. "No matter what comes, my heart is yours." Tears welled in her eyes as she clasped it close. For the first time, she allowed herself to believe in forever.
Their love blossomed in secret, hidden beneath the canopy of the forest. They met in twilight hours, speaking of dreams, fears, and futures they dared not share aloud. Elira laughed freely in his presence, her joy a melody Kaelin swore he could never live without. Yet even in their sweetest moments, a shadow lingered, the knowledge that others opposed their bond. Rumors of discontent spread through the Elven court, and whispers of jealousy reached Kaelin's ears. Still, he held Elira close, determined that nothing could sever what fate had woven. One night, as stars crowned the sky, Elira asked him softly, "Why me? Out of all the dancers, why did you choose me?" Kaelin's answer was simple, yet it struck her to the core.
because when I looked at you, the world stopped moving. I found silence in your eyes, and in that silence, I found home." His words left her trembling, for she realized her feelings were the same. With every passing night, the bond deepened, unspoken vows threading between their hearts, stronger than any law or tradition could forbid.
But destiny is never without trial. The Council of Elders summoned Kalen, warning him that love unbound by tradition could awaken forces beyond their control. He listened silently, his heart torn between duty and passion. That night, he sought Elyra beneath the ancient oak, his face heavy with sorrow. "They fear us," he confessed. "They fear what our love could change." Elyra touched his hand, her eyes steady. "Then let them fear. Love is not meant to be hidden." Her courage ignited his resolve. Whatever storm awaited them, they would face it together. Their bond became a beacon, and the forest itself seemed to rise in their defense. Flowers bloomed brighter where they walked, and the rivers sang their names. Even the wind carried whispers of their love, as though the world had chosen to honor what the council denied. In time, resistance waned, for none could deny the strength of a love that had sparked in one dance and burned brighter with every passing day. Elyra and Kaelin's story became not just their own, but a legend among their people, proof that destiny could not be silenced.
And so, every century, when the festival of the first bloom returns, the elves gather once more in the hidden glade. There, beneath the starlit sky, they whisper of Kaelin and Elyra, the lovers whose first dance ignited a flame that reshaped the realm. The music begins, and young elves step into the circle, hoping to find what they found: love born of rhythm, destiny, and courage. And perhaps, even now, the forest still carries their laughter, eternal in the wind. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to Elven Hearts for more timeless tales of love, passion, and the hidden world of elves. Like, share, and let us know in the comments. Do you believe in love written by destiny? Until next time, keep your heart open to the magic.